Let's just jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking a truly fascinating project, the Voice Hall of Fame. We're going to explore this really intricate, almost paradoxical balance at the very heart of the system. We're talking about the collision between cold, deterministic system architecture and the warm, poetic preservation of the human voice. It's essentially a digital sanctuary, completely designed to save the fragile ghosts of audio before they fade away forever. Okay, so we've got to start with the AI itself. When asked to evaluate vocal candidates, the system's AI architect actually adopted this whole persona of a breathless choir instructor squeezed into jeans that are 2 sizes too small. I mean, it's a hilarious start, but it absolutely commands our attention for the rigorous, highly technical vocal evaluation process we're about to get into. It really sets the stage for a machine that, surprisingly, has a ton of personality. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the voice hall concept, explore the pillars of evaluation, dig into architecture and telemetry, look at a case study, and finally unpack the human element. Section 1. The voice hall concept, a 7-year blueprint. Let's take a look at the foundational roadmap that started the whole thing. What's super fascinating about this roadmap is how it charts a highly deliberate evolution. It moves from setting up a foundational schema and the initial intake of audio in year 1 straight into scaling up a multi-agent automation pipeline in years 2 and 3. And then, by years 4 through 7, the vision expands into a fully scaled, community-driven digital archive focused on global accessibility. It's a massive, long-term commitment to preservation. Section 2, Pillars of Evaluation, hitting every note. Let's see how our tightly trousered AI director actually builds the criteria for induction. To guarantee high-fidelity AI decomposition, every single voice has got to hit the perfect note across 4 mandatory pillars. First up, acoustic distinctiveness, like does it have a unique fingerprint? Second, dynamic and emotional range. Third, AI reconstruction feasibility, which is huge, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And finally, cultural and contextual gravity. Basically, does the voice carry inherent authority or nostalgia? Here's the real kicker, though. The fundamental takeaway is that the system evaluates voices not just for their inherent beauty or historical nostalgia. No, it strictly judges them on technical AI viability. The system needs to know exactly how cleanly a voice's phonemes, harmonics, and prosody can be mapped, modeled, and reconstructed by an AI agent without getting tripped up by complex microtremors. Section 3, Architecture and Telemetry, Strict System Constraints. To handle this massive undertaking of mapping and storing human voices, the system relies on a complex decoupled architecture utilizing custom React hooks and highly specific telemetry constraints. Okay, you've got to love this. Our sources highlight this completely unique metric used right in their backend seed scripts, Vibe to Ship Velocity, or VSV. I absolutely love this concept. It perfectly captures the delicate balance of maintaining creative energy and momentum against rigid operational limits. It's literally coded into the database to prevent founder burnout. How cool is that? Which naturally brings us to a perfect example of the system's reliance on automation, the Agentic Autonomy Index. With a target of over 85%, this metric guarantees that the multi-agent validation pipeline runs smoothly during off hours without needing constant human oversight. It's essentially a self-sustaining digital ecosystem. When a voice actually gets ingested, the whole process is deterministic and incredibly type-safe. It moves from automated telemetry checks at the multi-agent pipeline, enforces schema strictness at the API gateway, and finally executes a standard synchronous Firestore batch commit. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a pristine digital assembly line. This atomic database operation ensures there is absolutely zero data fragmentation. But wait, it doesn't just store audio in some dark digital vault. It natively enforces the highest WCAG 2.2 AAA accessibility configurations directly into the schema layer. By hard-coding explicit keys for closed captions and structural screen reader landmarks, the creators ensure that literally no listener is left out of this sanctuary. Accessibility isn't an afterthought here, it's the foundation. Section 4. Case Study Noble Gas. The Noble Family. Let's apply this rigid, technical framework to a practical test case from our sources, evaluating a highly stylized vocal performance. If we break down this specific evaluation matrix, notice how the AI scored the Noble family. Acoustic distinctiveness and cultural gravity both scored a solid 6 out of 10. Dynamic range was a 5, mostly due to its steady-state cadence. But then, check out the AI reconstruction feasibility, an 8 out of 10. The system praised the metronomic, rhythmic precision and the lack of microtremors, calling it a perfect clean room candidate for digital mapping. To actually rebuild this specific voice, the AI came up with a highly specific roadmap. First, isolate the dry lead vocal from the dense synth-wash effect. Second, map the prosody by hyper-focusing on the staccato attack timing of the consonants. And finally, reassemble it by strictly preserving the mid-range frequencies that carry its authoritative weight. So the final verdict? Induct. But here's why. The Noble family was not inducted for some explosive, theatrical, emotional range. No, it was chosen for acting as a definitive benchmark of a controlled synthetic identity. It proved that the system can capture deliberate conceptual stability just as well as raw emotion. Section 5. The Human Element, Preserving Imperfection. Finally, let's shift gears away from WCAG vectors, API gateways, and Firebase scripts. Let's talk about the deeply emotional reason this digital sanctuary was built in the first place. This whole tension is just beautifully captured by two AI-generated ballads found in the source text. On one hand, we have the Signal Chain, which is this song celebrating the technical obsession of building schemas and AAA compliance. But on the other hand, we have Perfectly Human, a gentle acoustic ballad that directly contrasts that technical rigidity by celebrating raw, impermanent beauty, the static, and the catch in the throat. And the lyrics from Perfectly Human really hit the nail on the head regarding why this exists. The creators are using a rigid, highly deterministic, type-safe system to safeguard the vulnerable, imperfect ghosts of human voices before the physical tape fades away. They're literally using perfection to frame imperfection. The sources even point out that the system operates on a strict 15-hour operational boundary. But rather than viewing this as a limitation, the lore of the project romanticizes the downtime. The lyrics position these off hours as a dedicated, quiet window in the dark, where the automated agents silently run their lines to protect the human legacy while the rest of the world sleeps. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought for today's explainer. In our relentless pursuit of archiving the soul through pure technical precision and multi-agent pipelines, can an algorithm ever truly hold on to the fragile spark of human emotion? It's a beautiful contradiction to ponder. Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive, and keep seeking out the perfectly human flaws in the world around you.